Hey guys, what's up? It's Tiggy Maximus once again, gracing your phone screens and your YouTube algorithms and wherever you're watching this video. Plus, also, if you're listening on Spotify and you're hearing the same audio, I somehow learned to do the same recording for the YouTube and the Spotify, so I guess I don't have to do double the work. Anywho, is that a stray hair just hanging on my head? Anyways, I'm losing my hair. That's all good. So yeah, guys. Hopefully you guys got into episode 212 of the Tiggy Maximus Talks podcast, and honestly, thank you guys for telling your friends and family about this podcast. Just keep spreading the word, and there's a link to my Spotify where you can actually donate to the podcast if you want. And there's also a link also on my YouTube episodes where it takes you to the Spotify ones, and from there you can actually donate to the podcast. Anything's appreciated, guys. Just remember to keep listening to all these episodes or watch up these episodes. Tell your friends and family if you haven't already. Tell your new friends about this podcast. You'll just keep listening to more stuff about food, comedy, and sports. That's what Tiggy Maximus is here for. So, booyaka! Anywho, on this episode, I'm going to try to do this, but let's do it. I'm going to talk about the last three games of the Chargers season. They finished their regular season. They had played the Denver Broncos on Amazon Prime. They actually got bumped to Thursday night, which they had to get this game fast forward, bring it up pretty quickly, and the fact that, you do make the Chargers lose quite a few days off, but after the Chargers got blown out by the Buccaneers, I don't know if just being pushed to Thursday night when you're supposed to play on a Sunday afternoon, but to be pushed on a Thursday night for Amazon Prime, and you had to come back from losing 40-17, was it? I can just tell from how the Broncos game, how it started. You can tell there's residuals carryover from the Buccaneers game. And honestly, from the looks of it, if you look at it from the first two quarters, you were thinking the Chargers were on their way to losing another game, losing 3 in a row. You could tell that the Broncos had been pretty much dissecting this defense, and now that the Ravens, Bengals, Buccaneers have shown, even the Chiefs too, they've shown other teams how you can get the timing right and you can actually defeat this defense, the number one defense in the league, by the Chargers. Now I'm just saying, just to see them pass on the Chargers and run on the Chargers, and it seems like there may not be any kind of resistance, and it just seems like teams have figured out how to play the Chargers. And all season long, the Chargers offense has always been pretty much hit or miss, kind of inconsistent. A lot of drop passes, especially for Quentin Johnston. Ladd McConkey can't be the only guy catching the ball, but I mean, the reason why we got Quentin Johnston was because he was supposed to be a deep threat, and also if you pass the ball to him, he should be catching those balls. But more on that later. So it just so happens that the Chargers were down I think they were down 21-10, and it didn't look that great. And I believe the Broncos had just punted the ball right before halftime. And this is an interesting one because after this punt, there's actually no time left on the clock. But the Chargers called for a fair catch. So, the thing is, a couple things. Turns out the Broncos kicking team had actually interfered with this fair catch. And it just so happens that the fair catch had happened on the 38-yard line of the Chargers. And so because they called fair catch interference and to attempt a fair catch, it just so happens that if you ever call for a fair catch, you do have the option to have a free kick from the spot of the fair catch. It just so happens that because this was a fair catch and the Broncos interfered with it, they decided to penalize 15 yards from the fair catch. So since the ball was on the 38 of the Chargers, you move it up 15 yards, you're looking at the 47-yard line of the Broncos. And because this is a free kick, and of course the end zone is 10 yards long, you could attempt a 57-yard free kick field goal because of the fair catch. And it just so happens, Cameron Dicker the kicker, he has the range to kick from 57 yards. And it's even better because this is unblocked. It's a free kick. So somebody told Coach Harbaugh, hey, this old rule it still applies to today's football. And realizing that the result of a fair catch interference and you get a free kick, you get to kick a unblocked free kick field goal from 57 yards. And the team decides to do it. Cameron Dicker kicked the ball, free kick, blocked, and of course everybody's lined up on the line along with the other Broncos also lined up in a line, and I believe somebody was right near the field goal post just in case it fell short. Now Cameron Dicker made it so easily. If you look at it, he probably could have made it from 65 yards, honestly. But here's the thing, though. See, the only time you would ever do this fair catch and you do a free kick is if it's probably the last play of the half or the last play of the game, and because it's an untimed, you get an untimed play if you call a fair catch. Now the thing is, with a fair catch, you're giving yourself the ability to be able to catch this ball because a punt is voluntarily giving up the ball from the other team. So you should be able to catch the ball without any problems. Now here's the thing though, because a punt is a last-ditch effort to get rid of the ball so you don't get pinned in your own area, deep in your own territory, you're giving up the ball, but you need to kick it all the way down the field. It just so happens that sometimes, and it's quite a rarity, that a fair catch would actually happen in a very good spot on the football field where you could actually kick the ball from where the fair catch is. But it's quite rare because most, 95% of all punts usually end up deep in the other team's territory. So you wouldn't even bother trying to attempt a free kick because it's too far. Because most kicks can no longer be no longer than 65 yards for an actual kick to kick a field goal. And I think that's because the longest field goal is 65 yards. So it makes sense that any free kick, which ties into the field goal category, shouldn't be longer than 65 yards if you were to ever attempt it. I mean, some people have tried 70-yard field goals if they were like an actual field goal or like a free kick field goal, but they don't make them. The last time somebody actually made a free kick field goal was an ex-Charger. uh, it just so happens that Ray Hershberger? Was it? He actually came out the Chargers training camp and he met Cameron Dicker and they got a picture together. So the Chargers have the last two successfully made free kick field goals. That's pretty awesome to have. That's a nice record to be holding. So, but yeah, a lot of times when you do a free kick coming from a fair catch, it's usually in a spot where you can actually realistically make a field goal from. Otherwise, you just get one free play, untimed, basically from that spot. Because a lot of times after a fair catch, you kind of just take the ball from where it is and you just, continue your possession. But when it's like the last play or it just so happens to be a fair catch near midfield or you're still in the same side of the field where the ball was actually kicked, that's a really good spot to kick from because you're not going to get that very often. And it's been like that almost the entire history of the NFL. So once Cameron Dicker kicked this field goal, it made the score 21-13. And for some strange reason, that despite the whole fact that the Chargers were playing so bad up to that point, that historic 57-yard free kick field goal, longest in the history of the NFL, by the way, it sparked the Chargers offense to score 24 points. So that started a 24-point barrage from the Chargers because the Chargers ended up going up by 34-24, and the Broncos had to settle for a field goal because they needed two possessions, a touchdown and a field goal. They decided to kick a field goal first, and honestly, the Chargers won 34-27. Got them back on the saddle again. That was their 9th victory of the season. And guess what? They get to go to New England, Foxborough, to face the New England Patriots, who are trying to get the number 1 pick in the NFL Draft 2025. Keyword, try. The reason why I say that is because next week, the week after, Chargers go to Foxborough. Historically, the Chargers don't do so well with New England. It must have been 35 years, and the Chargers have only beaten the Patriots like a total of like 3 times. And you're entering the era of Tom Brady, of course. Now, with that being said, yeah, Chargers haven't had much success. I mean, I remember the Chargers beat the Patriots 41-17 in New England one time. Chargers did beat the Patriots last year 6-0, I think. And not a lot of memories, but I do remember those. So this one was pretty special because the Chargers did so well in Foxborough. They just kept getting touchdowns left and right. Justin Herbert was just orchestrating this blowout, and I believe the final score was, I want to say, was it 40-7? Chargers got 40 points on the Patriots. So, big blowout, another big victory. Essentially, it clinched the playoff spot for the Chargers. Oh, by the way, the Chargers did sweep the Broncos with that victory on Prime Video, Amazon Prime. So if they were to tie, Chargers had the tiebreaker over the Broncos. So with this victory, Justin Herbert doing so well with Vlad McConkey, J.K. Dobbins. Defense did pretty well. Yeah, I think it was like 40-7. Might have been 40-14. But the main point is the Chargers got 40 points on the Patriots. And great job by the Chargers, because that puts the Chargers at 10-6. And they just so happen to be in position to steal the number 5 seed. And the fact that in this particular game, the Patriots held on to the number 1 draft pick because of this blowout loss to the Chargers. So in a way, you would think that the Patriots would thank the Chargers for this blowout loss, because now they have the number 1 pick at the end of week 17. And there's some great quarterbacks and some two-way players that are available, tight ends, offensive linemen, whatever you want. There's a whole gold treasure of NFL ready talent coming out of college. More on that in a little bit. The Chargers, not only did they get to be 10-6 after this blowout victory over the Patriots, they just need to beat the Raiders, and they need the Steelers to lose to the Bengals, because they both are 10-6 going into the final week. And well, guess what happened, guys? On Saturday, they purposely placed the Bengals and Steelers game on prime time of the NFL Network. And gotta say, the game might have been on ESPN Plus. Yeah, ESPN Plus. Yeah, ESPN Plus. And well, yeah, I think that was ESPN Plus or Amazon. I don't know. I watch it on my TV at home due to one of the streaming services. It might have been ESPN Plus. I'll stick with that. Or it might have been Amazon Prime. Anywho, close game between the Bengals and the Steelers. And the Bengals, well, the Bengals beat the Steelers as they needed to, because it kept them alive in the playoff hunt. That puts the Bengals at 9-8. And for the Bengals, they just needed the Dolphins to lose in week 18 and the Broncos to lose in week 18. So the Bengals did their part, and it helped out the Chargers, because the Chargers needed the Steelers to lose to steal the number 5 seed, because the Chargers got to play the Raiders, and Chargers took care of business. I believe the Chargers won 37-23. Another blowout victory, and the Chargers did sweep the Vegas Raiders in their stadium, of all places. Justin Herbert, J.K. Dobbins, Vlad McConkey, Quentin Johnston, they all played big roles in this, and with the big victory, the Chargers become 11-6. And because paired it with the loss by the Steelers, the Chargers are now the number 5 seed. And the reason why that's important is because The easiest opponent in the first round is the four-seeded Houston Texans, who only have C.J. Stroud, who's been struggling in the second season now. You know, they only scored 2 points on Netflix against the Ravens. They lost 31-2. That's a big deal because I guess the only receiver who is kind of dangerous is Nico Collins. And honestly, if that's the only threat, maybe Joe Mixon is also kind of in there too. I mean, with the Chargers playing the Texans in the first round, Chargers the number 5 seed and Texans the number 4 seed, this could be competitive. But out of the three teams, the second seed Buffalo Bills, the 3 seeded Baltimore Ravens, or the 4 seeded Houston Texans, the Houston Texans are like the easiest opponent of the three, and so the Chargers is a nice way to kind of boost their confidence once they get past the Houston Texans. Chances are the Chargers will get a rematch for the third time to face the Kansas City Chiefs in the second round. And the Chiefs are the 2-time defending Super Bowl champions, and they're trying to get a three-peat. No NFL team has ever done it before. Chiefs are trying to get through history. Chargers is trying to prevent history. So I hope the Chargers play the Chiefs in the second round, because the Chargers only lost by 7 points the first time they met this season. Justin Herbert was hurt. They were up 10-0. They kept the Chiefs almost scoreless, but in the second half, the Chiefs finally figured out how to score on the Chargers. I think they only started scoring in was it the beginning of the fourth quarter? So 3 quarters almost of shutting down the Chiefs until they finally figured it out. Then the next time they played, it was on Sunday Night Football, and the Chargers were down 13-0. Justin Herbert got hurt. Then he got back in the game, and all of a sudden, the Chargers scored 2 touchdowns with Justin Herbert, went up 14-13, gave up a field goal, down 16-14. Chargers kicked the field goal, go up 17-16. And there's some time left, a few minutes left for the Chiefs, and the Chiefs just happened to drain down the clock, and they set themselves up for a 37-yard field goal with a backup kicker. And of course, the clank that's heard around the world, that clank went in for a successful field goal with a backup kicker. Mind you, if they were back another yard for a 38-yard field goal, that clank would not have gone in. Physics. But gotta say, 2 close losses to the Kansas City Chiefs, being that close to beating them. Chargers are on the verge of something great, and I would say that trying to beat a team 3 times in a season is very hard to do. I don't think there's a high successful rate for that, actually. I might have only seen it 1 time ever, really. That might have been Tennessee Titans and the Jacksonville Jaguars, probably. But yeah, it's really hard to beat someone 3 times in a row in the same season. So with that being the case, I hope the Chargers, they beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and if they beat the Chiefs, I would imagine with the Bills and Ravens, who are probably going to advance to the next round as well, they're going to face each other, beat each other up, and the Chargers get to play the Bills or the Ravens for a chance to be in the Super Bowl. I like this path, and I like the Chargers' chances. Now, maybe they won't get through all those teams, but it makes for exciting football, and it gives hope to the Chargers fan base. So, honestly, go Chargers. I'm going to go to American Heroes bar in Carlsbad with a few buddies. Going to watch the game on Saturday at 1:30 p.m. and hopefully the Chargers pull it out and get to show the world why they are the next big thing in the NFL. So Go Chargers. Um, so with that being the case, let's just go through. I'll just give you my predictions right now. So obviously, Chargers over Texans. I'm also saying the Bills are going to beat the Broncos, 2-7. The Ravens, their third time playing the Steelers this year. It's tied 1-1, but I think the Ravens at the 3 seed, they're going to beat the 6 seeded Pittsburgh Steelers. And then on the other side, Eagles, 2 seed, they'll beat the 7 seeded Packers. I think the 6 seeded Commanders will beat the 3 seeded Buccaneers. I think the 4 seeded Rams will beat the 5 seeded Vikings. So, with that being the case, you're probably looking at Chargers and Chiefs, Bills and Ravens, Commanders and Lions, and Eagles versus the Rams. A lot of good matchups, possibly in the second round. And I'm going to say it now. It might be wrong, but I'm picking Chargers to beat the Lions in Super Bowl 59. Could be the Chargers' first Super Bowl victory. I'm hoping. They have the offense if they're clicking, and they got the defense that can hold down the team long enough for the Chargers' offense to do well and pull it out. And who knows what would happen if the Chargers win the Super Bowl? The world might explode. Anywho, well, I wanted to bring up this thing. I did go to a comedy show for Sarah Hershberger's Out of This World at Mic Drop Comedy Club. It was actually on December 28th, and it was a good show. And Sarah Hershberger came up, did her usual jokes, talking about her neighbors having sex. Dating. And honestly, the crowd liked her. You know, she has some good comedy. On a future episode, I will mention that I get to saw her audition for the showcase at the Comedy Store in La Jolla. But more on that on another episode. But on this particular show, it's actually her retirement from producing a show. Her last time producing a show. So, with the jokes that she did and the crowd that was there, I gotta say Sarah Hershberger was a 8.4 out of 10. Great job with the crowd. She brought out, I believe it was Dave Callens. He's a teacher, and he also works at the Madhouse, I believe. And guy was pretty funny. He talks about teaching. He also has he talked about his appearance, so he can own up to his appearance and how he looks. And honestly, he did a great job because crowd liked him a lot. He's a really funny guy. I want to say Dave Callens is an 8.6 out of 10. I believe there was a Ron Ripley. He was up, and I think he works at the Comedy Store. And he has this joke about his I think it was stepmom, I believe. And he found out that they're not related. So he kind of talked about how he enjoys hugging his former stepmom. So that got people laughing. That's what I can remember from his set. I would say that Ron Ripley was a 8.4 out of 10. Then we got we got Kim Jones. I'm glad I got to see her actually. She talks about going to Arizona, how things are a little different. Um, uh, she has something about freeways and highways, and it's different over in Arizona than California. And then she talks about how these Mormons came up to her, and she always brings up her son with an Adderall addiction. It's pretty funny, um, and the way that she did it. Oh, and I think she had this thing about the Grand Canyon. That was pretty funny how she acted it out too. So, Kim Jones, I would say she was an 8.3 out of 10. I really enjoyed her set, and I would say a good half the crowd liked her too. Um, Next, it's amazing that this guy came out and his name is Ike uh, Gazarian, and he is the owner of Pushkin, a hookah lounge. And he was super hilarious. He was the best person of the entire night. He was like literally a 9.3 out of 10, and he was super funny about a lot of things. And then the last guy of the night, Nick BK, he has that joke about his friend getting killed by antlers. That was always funny. And then he has his multiverse joke with Disney Plus. So overall, Nick was pretty funny. He was a 8 point